So I think we're going to stay with the energy here and do another video. This is Paramay Trades. This is Paramay Trades Journal. I am the one they call Paramay. And it's pronounced Paramay. Short for Paramay Sare. So anyway, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to this technical analysis. This video we're trying to keep this a little quicker than the ZM one that we just did, mostly because well, 30 minutes is a long time to sit through a video just to find out what it is worth thinking in terms of you know, finding some buy setups, finding some sell setups. We'll just take a look at commercial interest real quick in terms of ES, and well, I mean, no big surprise last week, right? They kind of jumped off a cliff here, and we're on the 3-year index. We're well below. We'll say well below because within the last 3 years, I don't think we've seen any numbers in the 60s, in the 60% range, and we're well towards the bottom of the 60% range here. So this is a new low. We haven't corrected this yet. So 6-month index, current week's value, lowest in 6 months. Sometimes I keep these numbers around here just to show the extremes. 0 is the bottom of the index. When we breach that 0 mark, that's not good. That means commercial interest is very, very bearish, holding a very negative outlook. And we do that because it skews these numbers too. So moving forward, we're at 0. You know, and then the look back, you know, these numbers change suddenly because the newest number on the index, these look a lot better, right? So 68,000 net short contracts looked a lot better than 145. So this number becomes skewed. So if we undo that, you know, the look back here is a very negative outlook. So we're looking forward here. And it's all relative, right? In the 6-month index, it's all relative here. So we see 0 back here, and this was the lowest they had been in a 6-month period. But now they're even lower. So we want to reflect moving forward their most current position. So this is why we put the new numbers in. But I usually leave them around for about a week so we can understand the severity here, that they're really cutting down here. So we've got to update this number, but moving forward, we know that this is bad news. 0% is bad. Under 20% is bad. Right? Setting a new low on the 6-month index. Doesn't look good. We'll have to look at the numbers this week, see if they must have lifted up a little bit, right? I mean, we did get a nice little bounce after 6 or 7 days. So so here's a 15-minute chart, right? Here's the 15-minute chart. Here's the areas where we think, you know, we think short. When we're using market sentiment here as an indicator. Something we're doing on the 15, something that's not, you know, our leading indicator, but something that's a little bit helpful, right? And I wrote this in here because I really like Max Gunther's book here, the Zurich Axioms. I think it's probably like the 3rd chapter or something. Chaos is not dangerous until it begins to look orderly. Well, this looks really orderly, right? We're trying to you know, organize the chaos, but this is really chaotic. This seems really chaotic. Well, when it's happening, it doesn't look nearly as chaotic, but when you start, you know, we got all these different factors in here and different studies, and you know, we're trying to make the best out of the scenario that we have. We're trying to gain an advantage, but sooner or later it starts to cloud the chart a little bit, and you gotta start taking some stuff off, right? So what can we look at here to have determined that it was time to get into this trade, and that the S&P might have been bottoming out a little bit? So one thing that I always look at thanks again, Larry Williams, is just some kind of pivot structure, some kind of swing structure that's going to let us know that this is starting to turn. So we didn't have this trend line until it was developed, right? And this wasn't present until sometime later, until we hit this area. So when we got our second higher low pivot here, that's when we drew the trend line. That's when we had it. But we're looking at this this higher low, this lower low, and this higher low here, and we're looking at this swing high pivot. So we draw a descending line for our descending highs. We try to look for some kind of indication that this is going to turn the other way. Well, this was a really strong, considerable impulse, I think, that should have gave the market participants some idea that the market sentiment was changing a little bit here, that we might have been finding a bottom. So we use this swing high pivot, per Larry's instructions, I think probably chapter 2 or something, like chapter 2 or chapter 3. From the swing high to the swing low, and we multiply that times 2. So the target is up here. Would we have made out with these principles? It looks like it. It looks like it. Where could we have gotten into the trade? So we broke this descending high pattern here, and there was a sharp sell-off, and we came down here and we're again trapped underneath this descending high pattern again, right? Get a little bit of build-up on the 15-minute up against this, whereas these didn't look too sustainable, right? I mean, they just kind of shot up and came back down, but there was a bit of build-up here up against the descending high pattern. So we got that build-up and we did pop. If you're a breakout trader, maybe you're somewhere in here. Me personally, I have a hard time with breakout trading, but I don't. With this build up, the breakout trade probably would have been a pretty good one. And when we find support in here, then we get a nice, we get some more build up going here, and then we pop to the upside. There's a sharp sell off, and bulls defended this higher low, right on this trend line. So if you're, again, this wasn't developed until we had that pivot. But once we swung through this area of resistance and tested well against this price level, right up against this area, when it gains support against this area, I think that's when you become a buyer, and then that's your safe entry. Could you have been an anticipatory breakout trader, in this area? Yeah. I mean, you could have been. You absolutely could have been. If you see this build up and you say, well, I'd like to, So you trade this up and it trades back down. Maybe you get a little nervous, but your stop's down here below this higher low, so you're still in the trade. And you say, well, maybe, oh heck, this is finding support. Maybe I'm gonna add to my position here. And here we go. We get a little bit of sell-off. We get a nice support pivot here. Maybe you add to your position. You're in the money. You're in a winning trade. Maybe you add to your position again. And you take your profits up here at the target. It looked good. And then you take your profits. Maybe take 50% off the table. Maybe you want to let the rest ride because you got this nice uptrend line to work with now. We've got this this support area to work with. It's going to come down and it's going to test this area. We get a short trap happening up in here. We get some positive pivots to work with, and we get that nice W pattern that Volman talks about that favors the bulls. And we talked about this before this even broke. We said this looks like a pattern that favors the bulls. This M pattern did not look like it favored the bulls. It looked like it favored the bears. What happened? Well, we had a little bit of a retrace here. So we get this nice W pattern happening up against this descending high pattern that favors the bulls, and the bulls took it the other way. Lo and behold, we test the trend line again, and we test the high of this ceiling, This took off right up over it. So this price level is our swing low to swing high ceiling test. We break through this. We trend up nicely. This pattern supports the bulls. The bulls take advantage here, and we get a nice build up going on right at the top of this ceiling. So we come back down, boom, test the ceiling, and away we go. But this was a this could have been your leading indicator here. We go swing high to swing low, and the bulls just can't hold it. The bulls can't hold this floor test. And this should have been a pretty good indicator. So now we're watching here. Now you're saying, are we gonna continue on here and bounce off this trend line again? So there, I was looking at this area very intently to see if the bulls. We had this night, the EMA moving down. Bulls try to buy off the trend line, but sideline bulls are not having it. And this is before market even opened. So we get this nice pivot in here that we've got to test. So we're retesting this area here to see if there's support, and it just didn't look like there was, right? A little bit of support here. Well, we've got this 9 EMA to try to help us out a little bit. And we get a nice squeeze, right? We got the EMA, we got the pattern coming down, so EMA is coming down, it's coming down sharply. Bulls try to rebound and get up over the EMA, and they can't. They just cannot get up over this. So we got a strong rejection. This is a strong bearish candle going on up in here. And bulls or bears are in control. So we lost this temporary support. We come up and retest it, and well, that's that. There's that nice swing pivot, right? This candle pushes up high. We get a nice swing high coming up in here, but the preceding candle trades below the low of this candle. And so maybe in here you're thinking, yeah, this is done. I'm gonna reshort this here. Swing high to swing low, and they just can't hold the floor. They can't regain it here either. They try to regain it, but look at this. This short-term swing pivot here was probably an indicator that no, bulls are not going to be able to regain this floor test, and away we go. So maybe you're short up in here. I think this is why, while this is happening, I said, yeah, we're short here. Oh, we are definitely short. Okay, there's confirmation. They're losing this trend line, and they probably came up to retest that trend line. They never even made it up that high. You got a little room to work with here. Maybe your uptrend line gets moved a little bit because of these swing lows here. But we kept it, we maintained it. And what I liked about this too was about the probability of a short entry was we're relatively high on market sentiment. Think short. Relatively high, think short. Relatively high, think short. So if you're scalping, there's your scalp play, right? Relatively low market sentiment, think rally. We had a nice W pattern. We had declining, relatively low market sentiment, and bulls took it the other way. It's nice when it works out like that. Does it always work out like that? No, but we look for it. And if the stars are aligned, you definitely got to take this trade, right? We got to take this trade. We have to. So there's that. There's that ceiling test. Came back and tested it, that high, that ceiling. It didn't last very long. The bulls were very aggressive here and decided to take off with it. Bears were very aggressive here, and they took off with it. But now, looking forward, what do we have now? Well, same stuff every time. Market sentiment is low. Market sentiment low, think rally. Are we done peeling off this swing pivot here? Is this the low that we're looking for? It's the intermediate low. We got a pivot here. We've got a nice pivot here. Are we looking for, fourth, the third pivot, the higher low on each side, and we're going to go up and retest some of these areas here that we lost? Quite possible. Quite possible. I'm inclined to think that I might join the bid here, but I want to see what's going to happen here on this pivot. We're in the swing here. I want to see what's going to go on here, because they couldn't get above it here, but we've got support from the EMA. Are we going to get a nice squeeze of the EMA up against this, and away we go? Come up, retest some of these price levels, and pivot up and see if we can bounce. It looks good for a bounce play, especially where market sentiment is right now. Looks like it could bounce. A lot happening on in the news and everything else with the coronavirus and this, that, and the other thing with stocks. But I got to be honest, I don't watch the news very often, and I really can't stand listening to the CME guys on the CME group on bar charts. I really I can't stand listening to those guys. They're knowledgeable. I'll give them that. Some of them are knowledgeable. I'll give them that. They know, this, that, and the other thing. They seem very intelligent, but you gonna pay attention to what's going on, the advisors on online, when they're about a day late and a dollar short to the party here? You gotta start thinking about, do I have a swing pivot here? Is this gonna come up and retest some areas? Could continue down too. So there are two possible scenarios: is that this is going to be, stiff, bearish activity coming on here, and maybe we come down and retest and swing past these. Come take out these. Come take out these lows. Come take out these long positions, and then maybe bounce up a little bit. And I get a nice little W pattern working. So can we find another, W working for us here? We're coming off this high here. Here's your descending highs. This is what we got to work with. I'm going to come up and challenge this line. I'm going to come up and just challenge these descending highs. Because this is what we got to work with. This is what the market's given us. This is what the chart is giving us. Bears are in control. Bears are, our bears in control here. We're going to come pop up and test this. Here's your other scenario. Get up there, test it again. And if we do break through, then we're going to come back down and test that again. Because we've got this, this high pivot here. We can come out and take those out. Me, I'm rooting for the bulls. I'm rooting for the bulls right now. But the market has been pretty. It's approaching Friday. I don't like the whole past Friday, but let's see. Market open today. Had a down day. The whole day was down. Whole day was down. Probably predicated on a lot of the fear bantering in the news articles today. Get everybody scared, running for the hills. Because gold looked really, really good. Gold looked really good. Speaking of which, we'll probably do a gold chart, and then we'll do a gold chart next. So yeah, we're gonna keep the ball rolling here. We'll just do a quick gold chart because I think we were looking at that too. So gold, S&P, and live cattle are at the top of our list right now. Are there some others? Well, I can't wait for Friday. I can't wait for the Friday roundup so that we can take a deep look at commercial interests and see where they are, and see what, looking forward, what we can do. And we like to get these out on Friday so that we can get a head start. We can get a jump on our moves for the Sunday Open. Okay, so that's what I got to say about the S&P. Hopefully you found yourself on the profitable side of these trades, and you made some money this week. I made some money. I lost some money too, but I think I made more money than I lost. So that's all you can do, right? So hopefully that LE trade is gonna line up for us, and we're gonna keep a close eye on that. We're gonna keep a close eye on this one too, because I'd like to make some money on the S&P tonight. All right, traders. Good luck. Hopefully you find yourself on the profitable side of the trade, and we'll see you on the next one.